Okay, before the client comes in, I want to review some of the settings which you may want to look at. It's not necessary to change any of the settings. Right now we are ready to record full 19 channels and all the defaults have been set. But there are a few things you may want to inspect, and to do that you will look at View or Change Settings. When you press View or Change Settings, you get the Setup Options control panel, which looks very similar to the Atlantis control panel. Works very much the same. You can read and write settings files. What I want to look at right now is data channels, because under data channels we have some important controls. The first thing I'll mention is that you can specify training channels of 1, 2, or 4. These are the channels which would be used for neurofeedback training. These are not the acquired channels. The acquired channels are on a different menu. I'll also mention that we have notch filters here, 60 Hertz notch filter and 50 Hertz notch filter. I'll turn off the 50 Hertz notch filter right now. Other than that, we typically leave things as they are. They're suitable, very similar to the Atlantis. But there's a new control called Discovery Acquisition Control, and you can see the control button right here. You'll be using this control panel if you want to change the acquisition. Acquisition refers to the channels which are stored on disk when you're doing your recording. I'm going to press that, and now we see a full head of 1020 sites plus FPZ and OZ, which the Discovery can acquire, but they're not 1020 sites. And each button here can either be depressed or lifted. And when it's depressed, it means it will be acquired. So FZ, for example, is being acquired. Right there you see it on the list. FZ is being acquired. And if I lift this button, FZ is no longer being acquired. So this gives you the ability to run any number of channels in the acquisition, anywhere from literally 1 channel to 24 channels. The 23rd and 24th channels are listed on the bottom of the screen, and you have the ability to edit the labels. Right now it says 23A for active, 23R for reference, 24R for reference, 24A for active. But we do have an edit button which allows you to change the labels for those 2 channels which are connected separately on the Atlantis device. We have some helper buttons here. One is to select all, one is to deselect all. We have another button down here to add the trained channels. So if I were just training certain channels, for example C3, C4, you'll see when I press that button it turns on C3 and C4. So in this case I could actually run the Discovery as a 2-channel EEG, just acquiring those 2 channels. But I'm going to press the button now that says Standard Settings, Reset to Factory Defaults, OK. And now we're back to the standard settings, which is to acquire the 19 1020 channels right across here, FP1, FP2, F7, F3, FZ, F4, F8, T3, C3, CZ, C4, T4, T5, P3, PZ, P4, T6, and finally O1 and O2. These are the 19 channels which are the 1020 system. Again, FPZ and OZ are possible, but we're not going to acquire them this time. If you do want to acquire these, you can get a special cap with them wired, or you could wire them separately if you like. So we'll now see there's a total of 20 channels, and you might ask, why is it 20, not 19? The reason is there is a channel which is A2, the right ear, reference to A1, the left ear. All of the channels are actually acquired reference to A1. Internally to the software we compute a linked ears reference, so these all say linked ears because that's what will be stored on the disk. But at the same time we've added A2 minus A1, which allows you to see the difference between the 2 ear leads, which is very helpful. With that completed, we'll simply review under session control. We do have 40 sessions available in this folder. We've set the run length to 0, which means we will run endlessly until we hit pause or unpause. We'll hit OK, use these settings, And just before I bring the client in, I want to make sure I'm happy with my folder settings. And I'm going to start that client eyes closed. So I'm going to click eyes closed. And this will allow us to take our first recording eyes closed, and the files will be properly numbered. And now I'll hit OK, OK, and now we're ready to run the next session.